Hey, sports card collectors and investors. How is everybody doing today? It's me, it's Jerry, it's Luca back here. Still kind of, licking his wounds after that loss the other night. We all are, buddy. We all are. But anyway, today I'm going to go through kind of a quick mail day video with a new twist. I've got kind of a different focus with this mail day, and I'll go through that with you all. But hey, how about those Miami Heat? Coming up big and knocking off the Bucks. I think that was kind of a shocker. Although I have been talking with people kind of in hobby circles just about the Heat in general, how they're very underrated. And they've been telling me that, hey, watch out for the Heat. They've got a lot of talent on that team, and they really do. They've got a lot of strong scorers. They've got some really, really good young talent. Jimmy Butler showing up big. Tyler Hero as a rookie has come off the bench and done some good things. And they've got, Bam down low to bang around with Giannis. So, who knows? Let's see what happens. I do think the Bucks will respond. I think they'll rebound. That's kind of part of a 7-game series is it's tough to kind of, really get a team's number because they will react to what happened. They will respond and adapt accordingly. So, that's why the playoffs are so great. You've got a 7-game series, a lot of strategy going into it. And so I'm eager to see kind of if the Bucks can rebound, because of course there's all this talk of, I hear people, the Bucks are overrated, and so forth. They're a one-trick pony, with Giannis, and so interested to see kind of how that series goes and if the Heat are for real, if they can knock them off. You never know. This is kind of a really weird NBA playoff where we don't have that home court advantage, and so it's a kind of Wild West out there right now, and we'll see what happens. So, and then the Thunder even things up with the Rockets, so that's going to Game 7. And can the Thunder knock off the Rockets? I feel like that would be somewhat of an upset, just because I think that Harden, Westbrook, in that gang, I think that they have ambitions to go deep into the playoffs. So let's see what happens there. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and dig into my mail day. Nothing too crazy in this, but some cards I'm really excited about. And so the twist I was talking about, I'm not going to talk about that quite yet. That's going to come in a couple of minutes. First off, I'm going to go through a few soccer cards that I got. I got some 2018 Robert Lewandowski Optic Hollows. I have been trying to look for values in Optic Hollow because it is that first year of soccer, that 2018 Optic. Lewandowski, obviously one of the best players in the world. They just won the Champions League. So excited about these. And we will see where they go. All right. Next up, I got some, I'm going to butcher his name, Kevin De Bruyne from Belgium. I just thought that this was a cool card. It's not numbered, but it is a 2017 Select Checkered Prism. And again, I was, I've been listening to podcasts. I've been, listening to a lot of YouTubers as well. And a lot of what I'm hearing is this guy is the best midfielder in the world or top 3 midfielder in the world. Plays on the Belgium national team, which is an excellent team. So excited to see how that comes, when Euros come along and maybe World Cup as well. So I'm pretty high on Kevin De Bruyne right now. He was the Premier League Player of the Year, so it's no secret he's not some sort of, under the radar player by any stretch. And let me just say this too, full disclaimer, I know I say this every video, but don't buy these cards just because I bought these cards. These are not necessarily, the end all be all. There's a zillion different options out there. So, definitely do all of your own research and buy what you like and the players that you like. All right, staying along the same path here, just a regular Optic Kevin De Bruyne. This one though, in his Manchester City uni. I thought it was just cool with the blue and the white. I like how that looks. And then I guess there also is another a Germany option as well, a national team option. Wouldn't mind having one of those, but I do like the blue Optic Hollows. Oh, I forgot to mention prices. Okay, going back to those Lewandowskis, I paid $23 each for those Optic Hollows. And for the Select Checkered, paid a little bit more for that Kevin De Bruyne Checkered, $31. And then for the Kevin De Bruyne, the regular Optic, I paid $28. All right, this is a card that I really, really like. This one came, I think, all the way from Australia, maybe. And this is the 2014 Philip Lahm, the 2014 Prism Philip Lahm Auto. And I love this card, although his autograph is fairly basic. I'm sure he's trying to get through a lot of these. He's just, little scribble. The seller put my name right there on the front. Thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, this guy was the captain of the German team that won the 2014 World Cup. And I like the set in general. We've talked about this, but the hobby boxes are extremely expensive, $6,000, $7,000. And the card's relatively inexpensive. I mean, this card was $60 for me, but and again, it's an auto from a really cool set. All right, the last of the soccer cards here, and it's a couple of Thomas Muller Optic Hollows. Again, I'm a big fan of Optic Hollow in general. And Muller's one of those guys. He was on that 2014 German team that won the World Cup. I wouldn't say he's underrated, but he is getting up there in age a little bit. And so he is 30. Oh, I thought he was actually a little bit older. He's 31. So yeah, he's not as, I thought he was kind of 34, 35. So he's 31, or he's about to turn 31. So yeah, he's still got probably a few years left. But Muller is just one of those kind of, he's a great player, and he was really, really dominant on that 2014 German squad. All right, next I'm going to talk about some of the pickups that were kind of more of kind of that new focus. I haven't focused on as much recently, and I went vintage football. Now, some of you are going to say these aren't necessarily vintage cards because some of them are from kind of that junk wax era in that 87 to 94 range. But there's a lot of really good players in that range, and so one set I've been looking a lot at is, and I made it clear, 89 Score football as a kid was the set that I wanted to own, but it was very, very expensive. And a lot of the rookie cards, whether that be 89 Score, whether it be Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, they're very expensive now. They were very reasonable a year ago, 6 months ago, like a lot of cards, but they have shot up in price. And so I've been looking at kind of other sets as options. And here's a card that I picked up, a 1989 Topps Traded Barry Sanders rookie card. Is this a common card? Yeah, it's fairly common. And if I'm looking at the pop report in a PSA 10, 4,272 of them. So there is a lot of them out there. But I like the fact that it's a PSA 10. It is we're talking top 3 or 4 running back ever, even though he only had a 10-year season, 10-year career, excuse me. I mean, really it boils down to, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, and I'm missing the other guy that I wanted to bring up. Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Jim Brown. Those are really like the top 4 running backs ever. I mean, he's in the top 5 for sure, even if we're debating it. And so this is one where not extremely rare, but it was $100 shipped out the door. In comparison to the 89 Score card, the 89 Score's gotten up to $700-800, up to even $1,000. And so I wanted to kind of have one of these. And again, this is one of these long-term hold PC type cards for me. This is a card as a kid that I had raw at one point, and I think I traded with one of my buddies for some other guys. Yeah, I think like Derek Thomas was a dominant linebacker for the Chiefs. He had rookie cards. I think I traded Barry for Derek and a couple of these other guys. So I wanted to get that card back. So these are, and honestly, like all of these are long-term holds for me. These are these vintage football cards. All right, next up, the man, 82 Topps, Lawrence Taylor rookie card. I love this card, and this is not a card that I had as a kid. This was very expensive raw as a kid. At the card shop, they would sell this card for a lot of money. This one is in a PSA 8, so it is fairly common, but not crazy. There's 1,694 of these in a PSA 8, far less in a PSA 10. That's one thing that's definitely different with vintage compared to modern cards, is when you look at the pop reports for vintage, you'll have a lot of 8s, a little less 9s, and then you'll have a lot less 10s. Whereas with modern cards, you might have a card that's got more 10s than there are 9s. It's very easily gradable in that gem mint because they printed it a year ago or 2 years ago. With vintage, it's not that way. So that's a kind of different strategy there, and that's why there's typically a huge drop-off in price. You'll have PSA 10s that are a 15, 20%, 20-time multiplier at times of the PSA 9, and so that's why I have been picking up some PSA 9s. because of that reason, because the 10 is just way out of the price range. 9 is kind of more of that steady, where it's more liquid, I would say, just because more people can afford it. But there is a fairly big drop off in price, kind of similar with this LT card. There's a huge, it's expensive card at a 10, and then when you drop down to a 9, a little bit less. The 8, I paid $100 shipped for the 8. So it's, for me, that's an affordable way to get a classic card. A lot of these too, it's PC in the sense I want to own these rookie cards. So I'm not going to necessarily spend $500, $1,000 on it. Not that I wouldn't, just that I want to own the cards, and so that's the price point really that's good. And then if I look at the pop report, not too crazy on the pop report either. Here's a guy that I really like. This one, okay, so I'm looking at all-time running backs. Marshall Faulk. Now this is the 1994 SP card, and this is a 9. I got this for $30 shipped. And part of it is I'm looking at, and I've heard other folks talking about it, and it makes a lot of sense to me. This is a foil card. Foil cards are not easy to grade. So for me, the 10, I also did pick up a 10 of this. There's a 10 that's on the way, and I paid about $225 for the 10. I paid $30 for the 9. But the foil 9 is not easy. It's not just a given that you're going to get a 9, and especially not a 10 for foil cards. They're from my understanding, they are much tougher to grade. And so for this one, the pop report for the 9 is at 2,838. So there's not, it's not a super rare card, but there's not a million of them out there. And then the 10s, there's even less. I think there might be 500 or so 10s. So that's where I was like, man, that seems like a pretty good value there. And Marshall Faulk, he's going to go down. I know we're talking about a lot of the modern football players. We're looking at the McCaffreys and the Alvin Kamaras and some of these guys in this current football season. And I was just thinking about, what about these all-time greats? Marshall Faulk is going to go down as an all-time great. He's got a Super Bowl victory under his belt. He's still working in the media, and just an all-around classic good dude. So I really like that card. And it also brought me back, to my childhood some too. It's very 90s. This foil card is extremely 90s, kind of like those 90s basketball cards. There's a nostalgia factor there as well. All right, the next two that I got, and again, we're going back to nostalgia, guys. I had a Brett Favre card of this raw, but I got two PSA 9 Emmitt Smith. These are the 1990 action-packed rookie update rookies for Emmitt, and I don't have this. These are the only Emmitt rookie cards I have, and I was just thinking, Emmitt Smith is the all-time rushing leader. Okay, the way the NFL is played nowadays, there's probably not going to be anyone that breaks his record for yards. He's had a long season that he played, and running backs are not utilized the same way as they used to. Now maybe they'll go back to the way that they were, but the point is that Emmitt's record is going to hold out for a long time. It might never be broken because of that, because running backs are not used as that workhorse back quite the same way as they used to be. Careers are shorter, so this guy might be the all-time leading rusher for a very long time, maybe forever. He's got Super Bowl victories. Emmitt's, he's one of those classic guys. Now with this set, I paid $60 each for these. The 10s are going for about $400 or $500. My only kind of, I wouldn't say concern necessarily, but you can still get unopened boxes of 1990 action-packed rookie update fairly cheaply. And that's product that you can get. It's accessible. So to me, if there was a big rush on these where everyone was trying to get these and get them graded, the supply would then go up. Could affect, probably would affect pricing if you have that many more out there if people decide to grade them. But I wanted to have these. I felt like these were good. Right now there is 1,118 PSA 9s. And even less 10. So people, even though there's a lot of unopened product out there, people have not graded them, and so they're not widely available. And so I thought that, at $60 each, I feel like those are pretty good values. And again, I just wanted to own some Emmitt rookies because he is an all-time great player, maybe the all-time leading rusher forever. All right, next up, Michael Irvin rookie card. Again, the 89 score is kind of shot up. This is the 89 tops in a PSA 10. There's only 362 of these in a PSA 10. Now, are these widely available? Yeah, there's probably binders of these, out there, or there could be. I don't know. This is a 31-year-old card, And then I guess the question is how many of these are out there that are going to grade in Gem Mint at a PSA 10 at 31 years old? So at $100 shipped to me, but Michael Irvin is an all-time great, and so I wanted to have one of these. I do have an 89 score raw, but looking for these PSA 10s, where can I find some value in PSA 10? So I like that one. All right, next up, we just have our last few here. I'm excited about this one. So Doug Williams rookie card. This one is 1979 Topps. It's a PSA 8. I got it for $52 shipped. There are not many of these graded. There's 219 8s, and there's even less 9s and even less 10s. So the price definitely does go up once you get into those 9s and 10s. So this one definitely more affordable for me. But this is the first African-American quarterback to really, he won the Super Bowl, but really to get an opportunity. This guy kind of was one of those guys that set the stage for African-American QBs to really kind of get their shot and start in the league. There's a really good documentary. I think it's a 30 for 30, or maybe it's a Football Life, Doug Williams. Watch it, because the guy, I really like this guy. I believe now he's an executive for the Washington football team. And he is, just his story is very inspiring. So check it out. I'm trying to get I would like to have more of these. I think that Doug Williams is going to be one of those guys, kind of a Jackie Robinson type important player, that I think will be remembered as we move into the future. And he's just it's hard not to root for a guy like this. He's got an awesome story. Check out that documentary. All right, my last two, I picked two wideouts from 1986 Topps football, and Andre Reed. So this one was $15. This is a PSA 8. I know people are like, why are you buying a PSA 8 Andre Reed? Andre Reed was a fantastic wide receiver for the Bills. I believe he went to all four of their Super Bowls in the 80s. He was Jim Kelly's go-to guy. This was $15 shipped. There's 896 of these. But again, this is more of a PC card, and one that I wanted as a kid. 86 Topps was expensive for me as a kid. And so this one, this is the cost of the grade at $15. Couldn't pass it up. And then a Jerry rookie card. This was more about, hey, we got to have it, guys. We got the painting up there. This was more about owning one. This one was $75 shipped. It's a PSA 7. There's 5,712 of these out there. This is not some super rare card, but this was more of, I want to own a Jerry rookie card. And this is a fairly high grade and a 7. The 10s are extremely rare, and they're selling in the $20,000-$25,000 range. So at $75 for a 7, I feel pretty good that I'm not going to lose my money on it. And this is a long-term PC hold card for me. Just love the look of these 86 Topps. And in my next mail day, I'll have another guy from 86 Topps I'm excited about seeing. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me here today for the mail days. What do you think of these cards? Do you own any of these? Have you gotten into any vintage football? I've really, with football cards, I've kind of feel like I've neglected that portion of the hobby. I do have some. I have, a few of those cards, but I wanted to look a little harder at them over the last couple weeks, and so was excited for these pickups. Guys, if you haven't subscribed already, we are over 200 videos on the channel now. Collectibles, sports cards, overall personal finance thoughts. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much, guys.